So I was working in a bar just a little over 5 years ago, and I remember driving to this bar and looking at other people in their cars. And I'm thinking, wow, everyone looks like so unhappy. Why do people look so unhappy? And then the answer came, well, probably because they're driving to a job that they don't even want to go to. And then I kind of find it humorous, like, oh, people are driving to where they don't want to go to, like how silly. But then I actually hear my own thoughts and I hear myself and I realize that, wait, I'm doing the exact same thing. I don't want to be driving to this bar. I quit my job 5 years ago because I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life. Like, I was just in my job for the purpose of money. And I wasn't in a job that was terrible or I hated it, but I was mainly there for the money. And I knew there was something more. I knew I could give something more to the world, but I didn't know what that thing was. But I had to make that jump in order to find out what that thing was. So if you're on the fence of quitting your job or not, and you've been on the fence for a long time, which is, I'm guessing, quite a lot of you, then this video is for you. These are 12 signs that you should quit your job. Let's get into it. And so the first sign is if you're still looking at the clock. And what I mean by that is that when I was working in a bar years ago, and I would have a 6-hour shift, I'd work from 6 p.m. to midnight, and 2 hours into that shift, I would take out my phone and look at my phone and check the time, and I'd be like, okay, I've done 2 hours, only 1 more hour until I'm halfway there. And it was such a bad mindset to have, because I'm like, I want it to end. Like, I don't want to be there. I just want it to end. I want it to be done. I want the time to go as fast as possible. But of course, when you want time to go as fast as possible and you want things to end, what happens? They go slower and slower, as slow as possible. And so I was working at this bar 3 days a week, which is 18 hours a week. So 18 hours of my week, I just wanted it to go as quickly as possible. I just wanted it to end. And why is that? Well, it comes back to that I was just doing that thing for money. And so if most of your day is spent wanting the day to end, then this is your sign to go and do something different. The second sign to quit your job is when you get home after a day at your job. You get home and your partner or your family member or your roommates, whoever, ask you, how was your day? And if you're responding to that with, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was pretty good. If you're saying it like that, well, obviously if you're saying, oh, it was another crap day, well, then it's obvious, right? But if you're saying like, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, living the dream, common one. You just have to pay attention to the tone in your voice. You're not excited. And for many, many, many months, years, I was like that. I would come home and I was living in my parents' house at the time. My mum and my dad would ask me, how was the bar? And I'd be like, yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was a good night. It went pretty quick. And like that tone of voice is boring. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm sick of it. And it's just a matter of time before I want to get out of there. And it's better that you get out of there sooner rather than later. And so I guess the ultimate question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to settle for that? Do you want to settle for, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was all right. Because say you have a very standard job, 9 to 5. So what's that? 7, I've never had a 9 to 5, so I don't know. It's 8 hours in the day, 8 hours times 5 days. So you're working 40 hours a week doing something that's, yeah, it's all right, it's okay. That's the majority of your week is spent, oh yeah, it's all right, it's okay. Right? If you're living like that, then you're not living a fulfilling life. The third sign that you should quit your job is if you just keep thinking about it. If you just keep thinking like, oh, I think I want to quit my job. I think I want to quit. If it's been going through your head for so long, then it's like the sign was trying to tell you so long ago. I remember when I was working in a tennis club. Now this tennis club was not a bad job at all. I actually enjoyed the club, but I knew I could give something more. And I remember being on that tennis court and looking up to the sky and seeing planes flying by, and I'd be like, man, I just want to get away. I know I have to go somewhere. I don't know where to go, don't know what to do, but I just know I need to go. And so if you're having this repeated thought of, I just want to quit my job, I just want to quit my job, these repeated thoughts are a message. Repeated thoughts are a message. They've been trying to tell you something for a very long time. And they'll keep going through your head until you actually listen to them. And you don't only listen to them, but you have to take action with them too. And especially you have to listen to these thoughts when they have this much emotional depth. Like your job, what you do for work is a huge part of your life. It's a huge part of you. It becomes a part of you. And so it's really worth paying attention to what is going through your head when you're thinking of the job, when you're at the job, when you're about to go to the job. If you have these repeated thoughts, they're sending you a message. And I think why we have such a hard time actually taking action and quitting our job is because we love to bury our emotions. I know I had that I still have it sometimes. But when I met my soon-to-be wife, she would say something to me, and if I didn't really like it or it didn't sit well with me, I would just try and bury that emotion. And she said, no, Jack, like say it, don't bury it, face me and say it out loud, like get it out of you. And for so long, I wanted to quit certain jobs, and I just didn't say it. I didn't get it out of me. Like I just didn't do it. And it was a very simple action. Like to quit my job, both jobs, I sent by email. And how long does an email take to send? It takes like a couple minutes to send. And so just remember that these repeated thoughts are a message to you. The fourth sign that you should quit your job is that you are becoming dormant, or you feel dormant. Now, what does dormant mean? I actually have the definition written down, so I'm going to read it. It means normal physical functions are suspended or slowed down for a period of time, as if in a deep sleep. So AKA, you're on autopilot. And I've spoken to a few people who feel this way. They just feel like they're living this surface level life and they're just going through the motions. And if you're living this surface level life and you're just kind of floating around, like I was speaking to someone a few months ago, and she said to me that she's just happy to kind of like float around for a few months, and then if the job's not sitting right, then she'll change it and then float around and then change it. But if you keep in that floating stage, which a lot of people do, like you're either, there's mainly two different types of people. There's people who just stay in that one job for many years, no matter how painful it is, which is kind of our parents' generation, the older generation, or this new wave of people who are like kind of changing jobs and just kind of floating around and never really commit to doing something more meaningful. And if you're constantly floating around, then think about something that floats. Something that floats never finds depth. And the depth is where your meaningful life will be. But you have to get out of this floatiness stage. And I know there's a great story about this very successful entrepreneur, and he went out to work on a farm one day, and this is before he became a successful entrepreneur. He went out to work on a farm one day, and I say one day, and it was literally one day, because when he was working there, he worked like 8 hours, and he was like sweating, he was sore after, he was exhausted, and he said to the owner, look, this is just not for me. And then he was done. That was it. He was looking for something else. But what's the difference between this entrepreneur and the person who's just floating around? Well, the entrepreneur has intention. He knows he wants to find something that aligns with him, that aligns with what he believes and what his values are. And when you find that, you go all in on it. Okay, the fifth sign that you should quit your job is if you're wearing the mask. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that if you feel like you're constantly being someone else. Because remember, you're in this job for the majority of your week is filled with this job. So if you're putting on a mask to do this job, then you are being someone else for the majority of your life. And that whole concept, that idea just does not sit well with me at all. And I know I was actually thinking about this just before this video, that I know it takes time as well to actually be yourself when you're in a certain job, or when you're doing something creative, or even when I'm making these YouTube videos. When I first started, I didn't really feel entirely like myself. I still don't feel like I talk like my potential is, right? Like I can be myself fully still. But what's happening is that mask is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And this is how you should feel in your job. It's like it's just getting thinner and thinner, that mask, until there's just no mask there. And suddenly you're being yourself. And that's when everything opens up. That's when all the doors open up for you. Okay, the sixth sign that you should quit your job, there's a lot of signs, right? Is that you are betraying your values. So when I was working in this bar, for example, I was starting to get really anti-drinking. Now, I didn't have like a problem with people who drank, but I just didn't want to be around that environment anymore, or around those people, or around people who were drinking. And I was starting to really stop drinking as well, like altogether. Like, I've been 5 years sober now. And it's like I was sober and I was still working in that environment. Now that's a clash. I was betraying my values there. I was betraying my beliefs. It didn't align with who I was or who I was becoming. And that's a very obvious sign that you should quit your job if you're just betraying your values. So, for example, my soon-to-be wife, I've said it twice in the video. I know I'm going to propose soon because I've said it in multiple videos. Anyway, she works, or used to work in a restaurant, and this restaurant served like a lot of pies and meat and pizza, and she's vegan, and so it doesn't align with her values. So that's not the place for her, right? She doesn't want to be selling meat when she's against the whole meat industry. And so if you find yourself in that situation where you're just a part of a company, for example, if you're a part of a mining company, but you're actually really care about the environment, well, it doesn't make sense to like keep digging holes in the ground and like destroy things, right? And so make sure that where you're going toward aligns with your values and aligns with who you're becoming. The seventh sign that you should quit your job is if you feel like your gifts are being wasted. So if you know that I spoke about it a little bit before, if you know you have something more to give, or you feel like you have a deeper value that you can offer people, like even within the job, like I'll give you the example, when I was even in the bar and tennis coaching, I would always end up, especially with tennis coaching, because people in the bar were more or less very drunk. But with tennis coaching, I would always end up not doing as much tennis with the person and more just talking to them about their life and the way that they think. And this is where this YouTube channel has come toward, and where my business that I'm creating at the moment is going toward, is like the only thing that's stopping you from going to where you want to be and being who you want to be, the only thing that's stopping you from reaching your future is the way that you think. And I realize that more and more with the people that I talk to. It's just their thought process of things. And so I realized this, that when I was tennis coaching, I wasn't actually, I'm a good tennis coach, but what I was even better at, what I could add more value to the person's life in, would be how they actually think. And so if you're in a job where you feel like you have more to give, well, then this is also your sign to start going and giving that thing, giving your gifts to people. All right, the eighth sign that you should quit your job is if you have emotionally quit. Now, when I went to the other side of Australia, when I actually quit my job and I went to the other side of Australia to write a book, when I got there, I was working as a housekeeper because I had to do 20 hours of housekeeping or gardening to to have accommodation there and to get 3 meals per day. I had to do 20 hours of work. And I remember on one of my first days that I was with this girl. She was showing me how to clean the rooms and how to clean the yoga rooms. And when she was cleaning, she was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like it doesn't need to be perfect, but like she really didn't do it anywhere near perfect or good. She was just doing it like very averagely, if that's even a word. But what she was doing was she was doing the bare minimum. And so if you find yourself at your job doing like the bare minimum, like I spoke to a friend a month or so ago, and he was like, yeah, well, I just kind of sit there and I just do what I need to do and then I get out of there. And so if you find yourself doing the bare minimum, then you need to get out of there. It's your sign to get out of there, because you don't want to be doing the bare minimum in life, right? You want to be reaching your potential, your maximum. The ninth sign is that you've been in a certain role for so long and you've outgrown the role. Like you're better than the role now. And I know, I'll give you a funny example. When my daughter, she's 2 years old, 2.5, when she goes upstairs, she used to ask for our hand to go up the stairs, right? Because she was scared. And then she did it a few times and now she goes up by herself, no problem. But then now, not only does she go up by herself, now sometimes she goes up backwards. And what that's saying is that even from such a young age, you're constantly looking for challenge. You want to be challenged because like you've heard that a million times, the challenges are how you grow. But if you've been in your job, if you're not being challenged, well then what happens? You get that B word, you get bored, right? And when you're bored, that's when the energy goes down, the motivation goes down, the excitement goes down, everything goes down, and it trickles out into the relationships that you have. You start complaining to people, and then you come home, your family, and you're down, you can't give them your best energy. And so it really has this whole effect on your life and the people around you. The 10th sign, and this is a good one, and it's maybe more of a subtle one that a lot of people don't realize, and it's that your body is telling you. And so if you're physically drained, if you're anxious, if you're constantly fatigued, like I remember it got to a point, and I never had anxiety or panic attacks or any of that kind of thing. But there was one day, I remember it so vividly, where I was sitting in the car to go and coach tennis, and I didn't want to get out of the car. And then I started like shaking and I started losing my breath. And I realized that it was coming because it was trying to send me a message. It was trying to teach me something like, you're not meant to be there, Jack. Wake up. There was also, for the whole of 2023, a whole year, I was getting sick once per month. Once per month I was getting sick. And then in 2024, 2025, after I left my job, I haven't been sick for a year and a half or so. A year and a half not being sick, probably the longest in my life. But that year of 2023 where I was getting sick once per month, I realized that I wasn't getting sick because I was catching a flu. I wasn't getting sick because of the fact that I was just sick. I was getting sick because of the fact that I was sick of what I was doing. And it comes back to that very important principle that what is not addressed on the inside will be expressed on the outside. The next sign you should quit your job is if you look to people who are higher up than you in the company, or you can kind of envision, like there's always someone in the company that you can imagine being like in a few years. And if you look to that person and you see their life, but you don't want that life, then that's also another sign that you should just get out of there. You're not in the right place. You have to go find something different. The very final sign that you should quit your job is if fear is the only thing that's keeping you in that job. Now, what fear? Well, fear of the unknown, of if you left your job, what would happen? Fear of if you have enough money. And what the mind loves to do is it's like, oh, will I have enough money? Or what if I fail? Oh, I don't know anything about this new life that I'm going to go into. And the mind just goes into this spiral of, oh my God, I'm probably just going to die if I go and do that thing. And it's like the worst case scenario always. That's where the mind goes. But I just want to give you a little piece of advice, is that if you wait for fear to go away, then you are going to be in your job for the rest of your life. You are always going to feel some kind of fear, and you have to use this fear. Use the fear, don't let it use you, because fear is also an opportunity for faith. And so those have been the 12 signs if you should quit your job or not. I hope some of it got through to you. Remember, it's not going to change unless you don't change, unless you don't make that decision, unless you don't take that action. And always remember that quitting is not failing. Sometimes quitting is just honoring who you are becoming. The last thing I want to say is, when I see my daughter playing with her Legos, and she has Legos in both of her hands, and she goes to pick up something, but she can't pick it up because she has full hands, right? She has full hands of Legos, so she can't pick anything else up. And I tell her, Luna, drop the Lego so you can pick the other thing up. And so the same principle applies to you. If you want to pick up a different life, if you want to pick up a new job, if you want to pick up a calling, if you want to pick up a purpose in life, you have to let go, you have to drop what you currently have in order to pick up something else. I hope this video has done wonders for your world. This is what this channel is about. It's about you becoming so mentally wealthy on the inside. And when you get so mentally wealthy on the inside, the outside world can't help but fall into place. My name is Jack Little. Remember, be kind, be caring, be courageous, and I'll see you on the next video. Lots of love.